When buying call options, the probability of touching is a useful metric to consider. It estimates the likelihood that the underlying asset's price will touch or exceed the strike price of the call option at least once before expiration. This metric can help you assess the potential success of your trade and manage risk. Here's what to look for and how to use it effectively. Understanding probability of touching. The probability of touching is typically higher than the probability of expiring in the money, ITM, because it accounts for the possibility of the underlying asset's price touching the strike price at any point during the option's life, even if it doesn't close above the strike at expiration. For example, if a call option has a 40% probability of touching, there's a 40% chance the underlying asset's price will reach or exceed the strike price before expiration. What to look for. The probability of touching depends on several factors, including the strike price, time to expiration, implied volatility, and the current price of the underlying asset. Here's how to interpret it. High probability of touching, e.g. 60% plus, indicates a higher likelihood that the underlying asset's price will reach or exceed the strike price. Typically associated with in the money, ITM, or near the money, ATM call options. These options are more expensive, higher premium, but have a higher chance of success. Suitable for conservative traders who want a higher probability of profit. Moderate probability of touching, e.g. 30%, 60%. Indicates a balanced risk-reward profile. Typically associated with slightly out-of-the-money, OTM, call options. These options are cheaper than ITM options, but still have a reasonable chance of success. Suitable for traders with a moderately bullish outlook. Low probability of touching, e.g. 30%. Indicates a lower likelihood that the underlying asset's price will reach or exceed the strike price. Typically associated with far out-of-the-money, OTM call options. These options are cheap, low premium, but have a low chance of success. Suitable for speculative traders willing to take on higher risk for potentially higher returns. Factors affecting probability of touching. Strike price, the farther OTM the strike price, the lower the probability of touching. Time to expiration. Longer-dated options have a higher probability of touching because there's more time for the underlying asset's price to move. Implied volatility, IV. Higher IV increases the probability of touching because it implies larger expected price swings. Current price of underlying asset. The closer the underlying asset's price is to the strike price, the higher the probability of touching. How to use probability of touching. Risk management. Use the probability of touching to assess the likelihood of your trade working out. If the probability is low, consider whether the potential reward justifies the risk. Trade selection. Choose strike prices and expirations that align with your risk tolerance and market outlook. For example, if you're bullish but want a higher probability of success, consider ITM or ATM calls. Position sizing. Adjust your position size based on the probability of touching. Lower probability trades may warrant smaller positions. Probability of touching versus probability of expiring ITM. The probability of touching is higher than the probability of expiring ITM because it accounts for the possibility of the underlying asset's price touching the strike price at any point, even if it doesn't close above the strike at expiration. For example, an OTM call option might have a 40% probability of touching but only a 20% probability of expiring ITM. Example scenarios. Scenario 1, conservative trade. You buy an ITM call option with a 70% probability of touching. The option is expensive, but you have a high chance of success. Scenario 2, balanced trade. You buy an ATM call option with a 50% probability of touching. The option is moderately priced with a balanced risk-reward profile. Scenario 3, speculative trade. You buy a FAR OTM call option with a 20% probability of touching. The option is cheap, but the chance of success is low. Please like and subscribe.